now that we've created an app that can fill in a VPAT using I wanted to try out ChatGPT and see what it could come up with. And believe it or not, I didn't try ChatGPT before we built this new AI feature, but I knew that ChatGPT wasn't going to be able to do it. But let's look at the results, and let's start by looking at the VPAT itself. So on the screen, we have the WCAG edition of the VPAT. Remember that VPAT stands for Voluntary Product Accessibility Template. So this is quite literally a template that we fill in. And so on the screen, we can see the details section of the VPAT. There are all of these prompts that are empty. And then scrolling on down, we will come to the accessibility table, and we can see all of the criteria, but nothing filled in the conformance level column or the remarks and explanations column. So we have this empty template, and we need to fill it in. Once we have completely filled it in, then it becomes an accessibility conformance report. And so now let's go and tab to ChatGPT's output. And so here we have a very plain document, and it is not in the same style or format. So we have accessibility conformance report, and then it reads template WCAG edition, product client website, contact John Smith, standard WCAG 2.1, and then note this ACR is generated from the supplied WCAG 2.1 AA findings. And then we have an attempt at an accessibility table. It is a table, but there are no borders. And then we see here WCAG success criterion, conformance level. They're all entered as partially supports. And then in remarks and explanations, there is no explanation. So or remark. So this is quite a plain document. And if we go ahead and scroll down, we can see that the table only consists of what appear to be the success criteria with issues in the audit report. And so I uploaded the same audit report to both Accessibility Tracker and ChatGPT. For ChatGPT, I told it just to enter in placeholder information. So just use sample or test information, and it did. But this is a very minimal document that is nowhere remotely close to being an ACR that you could provide to anybody. So now let's go ahead and go to the accessibility conformance report that was generated using only AI and manual review for myself. And this is from Accessibility Tracker. So here we can see that this very closely tracks with the VPAT that is provided by the ITI. All of the same information is here. And so this is all filled out, and you're going to enter this information inside of Accessibility Tracker. So we have all of the details that are populated. So all of the prompts are answered. So name of the product, report date, product description, contact information. It's all filled out, notes, scope, evaluation methods used. And then scrolling down, we have the accessibility table, and it's completely filled out. We have the conformance level. We have several criteria that are marked as does not support. And that is because I did not validate many of the issues in this sample audit report that I used. And so here we can see that reflected in the ACR. So many issues marked as does not support, and for those, or many criteria marked as does not support, and for those criteria, we see in the remarks and explanations column that there is a very detailed remark and or explanation for each of the criteria that are not supported. For the criteria that are supported, we have supports in the conformance level column, and then no issues were identified for this criterion in remarks and explanations. And so continuing on down, we can see this entire table is completely filled out. And then at the bottom, we have the legal disclaimer, which is optional if you want to fill it in. But this is the ACR that was generated using AI. I didn't make any edits to it before publishing the ACR. So this is available to you inside of Accessibility Tracker. Any free plan will have this feature available. And so this is really going to speed up filling in a VPAT. Of course, the manual review is necessary because AI can make errors and omissions, but just being aware that those mistakes can be made. That is why it's so important that you have the manual review, and then we ensure accuracy and completeness. Once we ensure that that is in place, then we can go ahead and publish an ACR. We can publish it online using the HTML format. We can share that link with anybody we like, or we can go ahead and download the ACR in Word format. And so that's what we're looking at right now. So ChatGPT, nowhere close to this. And that was to be expected because there's a lot of work that has gone into this. But now through Accessibility Tracker, you just need to upload your accessibility audit report. Once you do, you can immediately generate a VPAT, a filled-in VPAT using AI if you would like to. And then you can continue on as your project progresses, as you fix more issues. Again, you can go ahead and generate a VPAT at any time. And then the more issues that you validate, so you fix and then you validate, the more issues that are validated, the less that are going to reflect on your ACR. So you're going to have a cleaner ACR. This is a very big breakthrough. If you have ever filled in a VPAT, then you know how significant this is. Of course, everything starts with an accessibility audit report. Remember, I talked about accuracy. It's so important that we're accurate, and we need that strong, solid foundation. The accessibility audit report is everything. It is so important that you get your audit from a reputable accessibility company. But this is here now. This is available to you. And so I will include a link to Accessibility Tracker in the description, along with any other updates to this video. We've got so much more coming in 2026 with Accessibility Tracker, but this feature for the WCAG edition of the VPAT is now available.